All right, welcome back to
What?
welcome back to Paradyme podcast. We have Blake here, David. We're actually doing a Casa de Unz interview. We're gonna get straight into it. No real introduction, but remember to hit that follow, hit the like, subscribe on every single social media platform that we have, so we can keep growing our social pages and also kind of just reach more people. But without further ado, like, what is Casa de Unz for the people that have never heard of you guys? Like, what does Casa de Unz stand for, and how did you guys come up with it? Like, say you're speaking to someone that has never come to Fresno, or like, what do you guys even do?
Well, Casa de Unz is just a DJ collective at the core of it all. We started just as friends that, wanted to DJ more, get more gigs and stuff like that, get our names out there. But, the DJs, our collective's main goal wasn't actually to perform as much as it is to progress in production and producing music. Because I think Fresno has a lot of talented people, but not a lot of people have that support or help to kind of get that knowledge, share resources, all that stuff. So we kind of just started out as friends, just kind of meeting up at these shows that we go locally and hanging out. And then we were like, well, let's do Porch Fest, which was the first thing that we did as a whole. And it just happened to flow really well. Everybody, helped out, and everybody had a great time, enjoyed working with each other. It just didn't feel like work. Yeah. And so that's how the group kind of formed naturally. And over time, we just started, seeing each other more and more constantly, and then having more things come up that we could do together. Yeah. And then the name came from us thinking of themes for Porch Fest. Yeah. And we actually had thought of Porchella. That was going to be the first one that everybody decided on. I suggested Casa de Unz, I remember, in the group chat, and everybody was like, nah, I don't want that.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not feeling that one.
Yeah, it's all right.
Porchella.
And but then there was multiple Porchellas, so then
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. There could have been people that thought of that already.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same kind of time that Coachella happens. So there's Chella after everything.
Yeah.
Events in April. So
yeah, it's trendy.
We use Casa de Unz.
Yeah. But I remember I forgot this where it came to me, but I was at work and I was thinking about how much I like going to Casa de Fruta.
Uh-huh.
And how much everything there, there's a little train and they say Casa de Choo Choo and Casa de whatever.
Shout out Casa de Fruta.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I remember just thinking oh, that's such a, just you can remember that. It's fun, and it's I don't know, Casa de Unz, just house of.
Yeah, it has
house
a black bounce to it. Yeah. It definitely has a curve to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think any of us really predicted that people would like it as much as they did. I mean, they didn't like it at first.
It definitely grew on me. And then the word Casa just can stand for so many things, from a branding standpoint, so I think the name is superb. So
it's gotten more depth after the initial inception of the idea.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you guys sat behind it more and thought about more ideas to roll out, for sure. I remember I don't know what podcast or what episode we did where you actually talked about meeting Blake at Trader Joe's, and it was just a DJ thing. You guys were just talking about music and being creatives and stuff, and Casa de Unz didn't exist then, but it's just cool to see that
moments like that are what made it start. Yeah. It was just an initial hey, what's up, nice nails. That's what he said.
And I think I mentioned that before, just for the viewers and the listeners. I actually complimented Blake's nails and said, "Nice nails, bro," in line at Trader Joe's. And I was thinking that day of how to acknowledge other people and compliment, those around you. And I think those simple acknowledgments, can turn into some pretty cool things. And we learned that from a book called Nice Bike. So can't remember the author, but we'll link that in the description. Super sick book.
Yeah, just being mindful of stuff like that. I mean, I thought it was cool because when you said it too, I was in a very nonverbal moment at work where I just did not want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
But that made me feel good, and then I felt like sharing that oh yeah, I did it because I had a DJ gig.
Yeah.
So and with that, then that started the whole conversation. So I think too, another thing that I look back on is that how much in social situations or when you meet somebody, you don't hold back from just sharing something that might seem a little bit like, why are you telling me this? But, you know, like, I didn't even tell you that I did it for a DJ gig. I should have just been like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, bro. Next guy.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
I think that's always like, we talk about that a lot, like the creative space, music space. It's always hard to kind of just meet people off of like just genuine connection, and like instead of like, what can you do for me? What can I do for you? Like type of energy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like rather just like just compliment each other and see like maybe we can collaborate in the future. I just dropped a clip with Jay talking about collaboration being the closest form to like the closest enlightenment of like a meaningful relationship. And thinking about that conversation that you guys had at the store is like really cool. And one thing I want to state too, because I don't think we like mentioned it at all, there's 7 members, right? 9. There's 9 members, so we only have 2 members here. Obviously we'll try to maybe incorporate the rest of the 7 guys, and if you guys bring more people on, obviously we'll get introductions and get more people like introduced.
It's a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely like I would imagine all the DJs are trying to kind of get their name out, just like every other DJ. But it's cool to see you guys kind of like just bring a cohesiveness to like, well, we have 9 guys here. Now we have 9 extra heads to kind of push each other's stuff forward. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the group started out with 8, and then we moved to 9, and it's just happened naturally. Like there was nothing ever really forced. But I mean, we're probably like, you know, done with like adding people to the group just for the fact of like, you know, having more input, too much input sometimes. It just kind of complicates things. I mean, 9 people is already a lot to make sure everybody feels heard and feels like they're, you know, they're putting in something or getting something out of it. But like like you said, it's not really about what one for me, one for you type of system. It really just organically happened through us just being like, hey, you guys, I have this thing that we can DJ at. You guys down? Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as that progressed, it just happened more and more. And it was like, yeah, well, it flows super well every time. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah, because I think you tagged it a little bit too. You said something about it too, David. Like everything felt very natural. Nothing was like, oh, we're producers and we have like this big grand vision that we're trying to reach and this goal like that we're aiming for. Obviously now it's probably more clear because like we talked about the brand. Like now it's more clear on like how we stay inside of our brand rather like than divert. So like I think you guys answered that question. That was one of my questions, is like, was this something that like, you know how we all like grow up producing music in our bedrooms, or even like Madruga like talks about like how he was just DJing alone. And then he finally met one of you guys and it led to something else and said something else. And I would imagine you guys are all like just producing and DJing like at some point in your bedroom or in the living room, and it goes to a smaller gig and you run into people. It's like, it's cool to see that connection be made and then lead into something bigger. Yeah. And it's all natural. It's all like a natural thing.
Yeah. Cause I mean, for me, I was DJing in a garage with my best friend.
Yeah. And
then I met David and I met Dom. And then we started, you know, just going out to like Sunset a lot. We would go out to, I mean, really house parties. I think a lot of DJs like either start with house parties, frats, you know, little wedding gigs, something like that. Like they usually get their start there, or just in their bedroom, you know, practice enough there. Like you have all the tools you need to like actually, you know, learn how to be good at like just, you know, finding your own sound. And then when you can finally get that chance at a stage, you know, you just have to get used to the nerves and get used to, you know, just doing it in front of people. That's the only difference.
How common do you guys think it's like to get, I guess they say, blow up in the DJ realm without really performing and focused on production more? Like say,
I think that happens way more often than what we're doing. You know, I mean, you could look at it's Murph. He's a DJ who made one song for a USC like music class, and before he ever DJ'd anywhere really, like he got booked at Coachella.
Holy shit.
So, you know, production will take you anywhere in the world, and like doing a local gig is great and it's fun and I think it's valuable, but like it's not gonna the amount of gigs you do is a much slower climb than just like producing a song that just gets, you know, just, it's a hit. Like you don't know like if you're gonna make a hit, and honestly you shouldn't be aiming for that either, but some people get lucky and some people just have to grind.
Because I think of like Skrillex Once Skrillex got really big, and he was homeless and like just producing like crazy dubstep out of like hotel rooms and stuff. And then he was traveling the world internationally within like a year and a half, and he was like one of the biggest DJs.
Yeah.
Same with like Martin Garrix. Martin Garrix was a a music student. And then he dropped that one huge big house song, and then like he was an international superstar. Like it felt like overnight, but he was working like
no one does it overnight. They've all just like put in the time like in your bedroom. So like if you're just working alone by yourself, like you don't have the excuse of like, you know, oh, like I'm not gonna make it because like I'm not getting gigs. I'm not gonna make it because these guys out here are. Like, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're working on, if you're working hard at it and you're, you know, determined to make it work, like it can. You just have to, I mean, look at Russ. Like,
seriously,
I'd say Russ is a great example of like, you know, if you put out a song a week on SoundCloud, eventually someone's going to discover it. And, you know, that gave him the opportunity. Because, like, I think what everybody needs is just the opportunity to have time to make what they want. I mean, you look at like I know like XXX Tentacion. I always thought about how crazy it is that he blew up with what's that one song that samples the video game? I forget. You know what I'm saying?
If I heard it.
But like, you know, he's just like screaming, and then like when he puts out his album, it's like all like, you know, more lo-fi and like kind of
his sound got refined.
Yeah, because he just like he's like, oh, now I have money and time to like put into the music I want to make. Yeah. And, you know, then his like actual talent came through. Not that like the first song is bad. It's just not like, it just blew up because of it had its time, its era. Yeah. Whereas like, but his other music is more timeless in my opinion.
Yeah. For right time and place for sure.
Yeah. Cause I don't know, you just need that opportunity to like get to that point, you know, where you can just focus in on like, all right, I'm going to make as much music as possible. Yeah. And it's just difficult when you're someone who like has to pay rent, pay bills, work a job 9 to 5.
It's like, who does it nowadays though? You know what I mean? Like it's even difficult, like especially with everything going on. But if you really want something, I think you'll get after it and you'll make it happen by all means.
You just can't give up.
Seriously,
it's a big thing to talk about.
I mean, I think I was just seeing something on the internet the other day, like David Guetta, like he was well into his like 40s when he like blew up. I think like late 30s, 40s, something like that.
Yeah, I want to say 30s because he was like 2000s, I think. But yeah, I mean, this is the guy that just kept doing it. Like, I mean, you look at Post Malone's producer, Louis Bell. Like, he didn't have his first like song credit till he was like 33, 34, somewhere around there. Like, and now he's produced all of Post Malone's music. I think he produced some for like The Weeknd or some other big artist that's in the.
Was it Fred again like that too? Someone was telling me that like Fred again was producing and DJing for a long time, but like he wasn't as big as he is now. And he was making hits, though. But
he was more like he had Brian Eno as his mentor, and like
so he had somebody on that.
Yeah, he had a mentor. He had been doing ghostwriting or like production for other artists. But I mean, he was really just like you know, taking on like paychecks and working on perfecting what he wants. And then like once he felt ready to like go like, you know, fully like focused on his own career, you know, he had the opportunity. I mean, I didn't discover him until the Boiler Room set, but he was well known by then, especially like in London, and I'm sure in like lots of other places, well respected in the industry. There's a lot of people that are just like chilling, kind of like doing their thing, working hard, keeping their head down, and they're like kind of in the background right now that like in 6 months when they put out their work that they're working on that other people know about because they've heard it, you know, then they're going to have their time. So it feels like, you know, like just like when an artist puts out an album, goes on tour, makes another album on tour, then goes back.
So it's like nonstop work. And I think that's a good segue into like the next kind of thing, like catapulting and where you guys landed and what you guys are trying to achieve. And like, obviously this may be like bragging, or maybe you guys don't feel like this at all, but it's really just the question of like, do you guys feel like you're leading the house music scene a little bit, or like you guys are up there with the other big groups that are here in Fresno or the Central Valley? Like, do you guys feel like you've made some way, like you catapulted the group, yourselves, your individual productions? Like,
I wouldn't say that, but I would just say that we feel like we've definitely had an influence, and that feels good. And the focus is more on just giving opportunities to people. And I think like we have a lot of friends like I feel like we're friends with everybody
For sure.
in terms
Yeah.
of, you know, everyone in the scene here. And it's been a very like good, like kumbaya kind of feel to the way people have supported each
Yeah, it's
other,
very
especially like,
collaborative.
very collaborative. There's no like, you know, all I can say is that like, you know, we can only just thank everybody that's given us an opportunity
For sure.
and support those that like are still trying to get, you know, I would like to say like kind of waiting for your moment. Like for me, I feel very lucky that I got to play, you know, only a couple shows before I got to play for a crowd of like a couple hundred people. And that moment just felt great to me. Like I had kind of been waiting for that for myself to feel validated in terms of like my abilities as a DJ, as a producer with songs I've made, you know, playing that for a crowd. And like that's something I want for like every person who's aspiring to be a DJ, everybody who's working hard right now, just to kind of get that moment, but like realize like you're only going to have a couple of those until, you know, you would get to a level where you're getting booked at festivals and different places. Like if you're just working to get that one feeling where you're finally like, you know, validating yourself, that's all you should be aiming for. And I think that for us as a group, we validated ourselves for ourselves, you know, and that's all like I would really say in terms of just like how we feel we've made a stamp, and we would just hope that other people in the community, other DJs would get that opportunity too.
For sure. Yeah. Cause it's just like I always think back to like the Hobbs Grove first show. Like I don't know how many shows went on before then now, but I think that was like your guys' one of your first shows, like all together, right?
First ticketed event.
Yeah. And so just witnessing that from the beginning was, it's just really fascinating. And I would imagine all the people in the crowd that like follow you guys to the day, like even the DJs that were there, like they were like, whoa, like this really kind of took off. Like, and it's just cool to see something go from 0 to like 50 or 0 to 70, and it's still kind of picking up speed. And it's not like, oh, we're the shit or we're the best. Like we're like, no, we're trying to like pull up everybody that actually has drive, ambition for the music, creative space, that wants to put Fresno, the Central Valley on the map. Like, cause it's, I think we talked about it. I talked about it with somebody, maybe it was another, like a musician or something here in Fresno. And the biggest thing I take away from Fresno, like, cause I was producing when I first moved here and like skateboarding and stuff. And I stopped doing it after a while cause I just got into like entrepreneurship and stuff. But the biggest the conversation we have, and the biggest takeaway I had in that conversation was like, it's hard, or what I witnessed in Fresno and the Central Valley, it's hard to see the money come in and stay here in Fresno. And especially in the music and the creative space, is because it's like we're surrounded by all these large cities. We're surrounded by all these like megatropolis, like creative cities where like young kids are going and blowing up and making these like huge names for themselves. But you have people like Skrillex or Fred again, or like Post Malone's producer, where like no one knows who they are. They're not like these big names that are moving to Los Angeles or San Francisco or even New York. They're just like producing Ghost, and you don't know their names, but they still have that opportunity there for them, and they catapulted themselves some way, somehow, and they figured it out.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a lot of it is who supports you, because if you can get as a DJ for a big DJ to support you, like Michael Bibby supported Beltran with Smack Yo. Okay. And then after that, like let him play a show, and that basically like just catapulted Beltran to a place where he can start touring and get bookings like all around.
So it's like your network.
In other countries. All it took was just like one DJ to, I mean, I think Michael Bibby said the same thing with Kanahu. I think that's how you say it. But he was at a show, one of Michael Bibby's shows, passed him a letter. Wrote him a letter saying like, you're one of my biggest inspirations. Here's my USB with some tracks. Please just, if you have a chance, just take a listen to it, and then collaborated with him on the track.
Wow.
I think that was Different Side, which is an awesome song.
Have you guys emailed any like submissions or sent out any like?
Oh yeah, they've all been denied.
Yeah. Because I remember that phase of my like production and like sending out to labels and small private labels and be like, hey, like, can you guys just check this out? And like either not just being ghosted or just like having to send hundreds and hundreds, and like hopefully somebody comes back to me. And it wasn't like no big label either. It was like the SoundCloud collectives, you know what I mean? Like
I mean, I don't mind getting denied. Like I honestly feel like it's kind of a tough thing right now, especially when you don't have any tracks signed, that like, who would you send it to? What label? Is it worth it?
Yeah, and it comes back to like your network. It comes back to like,
and then like, I kind of just want the song to be out already, so why don't I just self-release it, Because like a self-release, like obviously you don't get as much promo and stuff like that, but at least it's out there, you know.
Yeah.
There's always like things you can do to promo yourself and like curate a brand too. I hear that a lot, you know. That's another ball game, you know, wearing that hat, but definitely helps to get your track like more noticed. I would say like how you use all the tools that are available now with like social media and like all that shit. So,
Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I know too that like once you have a song out, it doesn't necessarily mean it can't still get signed.
Yeah.
Not
Do you guys remember that song 1738? I know this is completely outside of the house music industry.
Wap?
But yeah, Fetty Wap. Like that song was out for like a whole year, close to 2 years. Yeah, and it finally like someone picked it up in the mainstream like PR or something, and it hit the radio. But it was out for like a year and a half before it ever like gained any traction, and his career took off from there. So it's
that's wild.
It's really
I
interesting.
remember Empire of the Sun had released Walking on a Dream, and like it was a banger song from like the era that I don't know when we were like
Super
like
kid,
2012, 2014. And then it kind of like dropped down, and then a commercial released with that song. I think it was like a car commercial.
Yeah, I
but
feel
it
like I
just
remember seeing
blew
that.
up again, and I was like, guys, this song's been out for a long time. It's so fire.
TikTok does with, you know, like the cranberry juice skateboarding dude, dog face with Fleetwood Mac. Or I mean, you know, you could say the same thing with like Mac Miller's Spins.
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
I listened to that song when I was a freshman in high school, loved it, right? But like I loved all his other stuff growing up. I didn't hear it. I mean, maybe this is just personally, but I didn't hear it again until I started, like I went to a frat party one time. Everybody's asking for that song. Even now, like even to this day, like I think Austin DJ'd a frat party. I went with him one night and everybody just went crazy for that song, dude. I mean, it's a perfect song. It's like timeless.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. For
So
sure.
stuff like that, like it's just good vibes.
Yeah, it's because we talked about marketing a little bit. Like, what have you guys found like the best ways to kind of market the group, your individual music, your individual like releases? Like, because I've like just personal experience. I don't know if anybody else is a producer or looking to become a DJ. Like, what have you guys found to be like the best or obviously social media is involved in there, but more like specific, like that you guys kind of focus on when it comes to marketing like music online?
I mean, I don't feel like I like can say much because I feel like we're at 1,800 followers for the group, and I know that that's gone from like basically zero, just organically, no ads, no paid ads, not spending money on like, you know, that stuff. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just something that like we just can't afford.
Yeah, that's right.
But I would say not being cheap on like your media, like just hiring your camera guys, trying to pay them well, you know, if you can't pay them a lot, like see if you can just like work out a good deal, have a good relationship with them, treat them well, like do business with others, and people will, you know, want to work with you in terms of just like this for the sake of like you're easy to work with.
Yeah, easy communication.
Other than that, I wouldn't go cheap on your, you know, like let's say you have an artist like David's made a lot of our art. Have him, you know, make something like a cool cover art for you. Well, like, what does David want for it? And don't say no to it, you know? Spend the money on it because artwork and a lot of the branding happens to be, you know, just what you're posting, like what you choose, like getting eyeballs to click on your song or click on your page and like your layout. You don't have to know what your aesthetic's going to be. And I don't think that that's the most important thing, but to at least like think about it, be conscious of like what you want your brand to look like and let it form itself. Sometimes that's good too.
Yeah. And I would chime in to say too, you know, freelancers or those who are going to be helping making those like media pieces or those like content pieces, you know, charge something that you're okay with charging at the price and do good work, you know. You don't always have to give people like a super crazy discount. I think there's something psychological that happens when you're just like kind of doing stuff for free all the time. You know, you lose your drive to do something like sick, you know, and there should be an equal exchange of value there, you know, because you want to help your homies out, but you also want to, you know, have a win-win on both sides, you know, when it comes to producing the content and then also getting paid like a fair amount. You know,
yeah, and I would say this too, like being honest with like your content that you're putting out or being able to self-criticize a lot of stuff, like work with people that can handle criticism.
For sure.
Being willing to say, you know, like I liked this yesterday, I don't like it today, in terms of like, you know, something you got back. Like you shouldn't just like something because you paid for it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to just like also, you know, eat some of the money that you had to put into branding and stuff like that. Like it's not all gonna be perfect, but at the end of the day, like I've just seen a lot of people who have, let's say, you know, a good idea, but then like it just doesn't get executed, but they still pretend to kind of be a little bit excited about like what they're doing, even though they know like this is not, it could be better. Because like, I mean, especially with like if you're throwing an event, flyers are huge, you know. Your flyers should look like, you know, there was effort put into it, at least. That way that the viewer or the, you know, person who's going to buy a ticket feels like you're going to do the same amount of effort into the actual show. And a production.
That makes a lot. Yeah, that makes a lot.
It just represents a lot of like what is this promoter willing to go, you know, cheap on?
Yeah, it's your reputation too.
Yeah, if you're willing to go cheap on a flyer, you know, you shouldn't expect too much production. You know, you should expect more of a low key kind of thing, which is still cool. There's plenty of stuff like that I enjoy and going to, but I think that if you're trying to build it, like that's something that I think we've done a good job of just like investing back into like the media, videos, pictures, and flyers. Like that stuff has been from day one. And it helped that we were a collective, because the 9 of us, like if you were to try to do that as an individual, paying for all that stuff for yourself, that's a lot to get someone to film you, get pictures, and like, you know, get like a cool flyer, banner or something to post. But as a collective, you know, that's how it started, was we were like, we can all just share the resource,
spread out the work.
And it helped us out a lot. I think first time we did photos, it was, I mean, it could have came out to like $40 a person, like 50. You know, not bad. Instead of 200. For yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're listening, you want to be a DJ, don't skimp on your fucking media team. Shameless plug. Anyways, so let's move into like the experiences you guys had with growing, with like dealing with shows, dealing with like, let's say, I wouldn't say fans, but like friends and associates that kind of come out to your shows. Have you guys had any like wild experiences, anything that's like, you think of this time, it's like, dude, this one moment was like nuts and I hated dealing with it, or like I fucked up the show and like something happened and it was just like gnarly to deal with?
I mean, there's definitely been a lot at each show. There's moments of stuff that it's just like kind of like I'll like go home, lay down, think about it, and be like, wow, that really happened. Like, geez, you know, like I think what's funny is like when you go to shows, sometimes people are really drunk or they're just, you know, having a good time, they're letting loose. And you know, they're unaware of some of the things they do. Like what if like someone walks up to you and just starts spitting in your face, you know, as they talk, like Sammy Sprinkler from Benchwarmers. That hasn't happened, but I don't want to like name any specific things. More so things on stage that have happened have been funny, like just like, you know, pressing pause on the wrong song.
Like a technical difficulty.
Yeah, just stuff like that.
I feel like that stuff like happens and then it's like, all right, just keep going. Like,
Whatever.
Don't really think
like
about
that
it too much.
Yeah, sorry, it's not too exciting, but like that stuff, it happens, especially like, and I've told this to like, you know, whoever like Garrett, when he first like was DJing, like his first performance in front of anybody was back in November, and then like a week later he performed for like 1,000 people.
Sheesh.
You know? And that was like so cool because it was not a planned set. And but I remember telling him like, yeah, dude, just so you know, because I wish someone told me, but if you accidentally pause the music, the best thing to do is just like react positively. Don't panic, don't do anything, just, you know. That brings up another one where I showed up to a set, or this is like back in December, where I was like still kind of feeling like I need to prepare every song for every set. Like I need to know every song I'm going to play. I show up, plug my USB in, it doesn't read on the CDJ. And then I grab my backup. I'm like, hey, get my backpack. I need my backup. Plug that in, same thing. Playlist is gone. So that was the first time I ever had to play a full hour set, like just no plan.
Choosing songs.
You know, and as far as like technical stuff, like I didn't mess up. once. Like I didn't make any mistakes where on my end I was like, oh shit, like I shouldn't. That's not what I meant to do, you know. And that felt good. That was just like a a good confidence boost, and just like making sure I if something doesn't go according to plan, like you just can have a better like attitude, like really kind of a fuck it, like we have to make it work.
Yeah, for sure.
Your reaction matters, like how you deal with the situation you're in.
Yeah,
Like
for
the
sure.
next step matters. Like
That applies to a lot of things, and that's what's cool. Is like
it's really not about the how. It's like really your response to the how. Like what happens and how do you respond?
It's not always going to go according to plan. I mean, look at Grimes.
Yeah, that's gonna be forever stamped.
I mean, that was that's not the worst reaction, but that's just my opinion.
That's just how it is, though. I mean, like being the DJ, that definitely happens, you know.
Yeah, because it can happen to you at Coachella. You could plug in, and then your USB is not reading, and it's set time. Like you have to play something, you know.
Yeah.
Just grab someone else's USB, see if somebody has extra songs. Or something.
I mean but that's terrifying if you don't know any songs.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But I mean, I'd say there's just been a lot of interesting moments at shows and stuff like that. Just with like, I mean, the thing about throwing the show as well as like DJing and like doing stuff is like you have a lot of responsibilities constantly. Where it's like even if somebody comes up to you and is like, "Hey, we're out of ice," you got to go get the ice.
Yeah, I'm just a DJ, but
but like just stuff like that is hard to manage while your friends are there. You want to say hello. Your people, you want them to feel like show love and everything and attention. Because like I think the funniest thing to me, and I'm sure like a lot of people in Fresno, especially the ones in the EDM scene, like know this feeling when like you're at the show, you see your buddy, you're like, "Oh, what's up, dude?" You start chopping it up. Like you haven't seen him in like, since the last show. Maybe it was a month ago.
Yeah.
And then someone else comes up, like putting their hand out, they're holding it there. And you're in the middle of like an important, like serious conversation talking about how
to dap up and
well, like you're already in this, and then this other person's got their hand out and you're like, okay, hold on 1 second. And this person's like, they get in your ear and then they just start telling you about like their entire last week. And it's just like, dude, I'm sorry, like my bad. And then that person that you were just talking to is like, well, I'm going to go. I'm not going to just stand here and be ignored.
Yeah.
It's just that kind of like stuff. It's just funny. It's funny. It's awkward. But like, I kind of think that what I've learned is that like everywhere you go for EDM, any sort of club, it's always awkward. Any sort of like big thing like that, you just gotta understand like, oh yeah, like
just kind of include everybody in one big conversation. Let's just
like,
all talk.
Yeah, or just be like, yeah, my buddy just got like his other friend came up, my time's up, like move on to the next one. It's not a big deal. I just think that stuff's funny to me, like
the awkwardness.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think there's always wild experiences when you're starting out, trying to perform or do something that's like DJ. I mean, like there's so many things that can go wrong. It's kind of crazy, I think one experience I had was when I was supposed to do my first live show at First Summer Sweat, thrown by Johnny Q, and like I had no idea what to prepare for other than bring my mixer, my little DDJ 400, and then my computer, and then it was like way too hot outside and it fried everything, and like I just couldn't play, and I was like, what? I thought I was just supposed to like come up here and do my thing. It's pretty embarrassing.
Expectations, man.
But I think those are just instances. I mean, that's just one, but there's always roadblocks to anything that you're trying to do sometimes, I feel like, you just keep doing it. Yeah. And then it'll, like you said, your reaction to it.
Yeah.
What's the most proactive way of thinking to move forward from this situation?
Yeah.
Try it again.
I'm starting to learn too that like the people who are like most successful in like a lot of business or a lot of entertainment, anything like that, they're just good problem solvers. Because like they've either gone through a lot of problems and they've learned how to deal with it, or they've gone through a lot of problems, failed at those, and then learned how to deal with it.
Found the solution.
Like I mean, that's what keeps happening every time we've done something. There's a problem, there's an issue where it's like this has to be resolved. You can't just like procrastinate. Like if I have homework to do, like that's the problem, I have to do it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like of course I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
but I'm
homework
gonna-
with chores, with also being social with your friends, and
Yeah.
also having a DJ. Like,
Yeah, like I could
things just stack
do like, you know, like the hosting of an event, or do, you know, just that job where like I just don't handle it, like whatever. It's
Yeah.
like I could just let it go. But then like that could totally ruin the evening, or like just little things. Stuff like it has to run like a business, it has to run like a system.
yeah.
You know, there has to be an order of things. It can't just be chaos.
Yeah, you're driving two vehicles at once. You're creative and also the business side of things. When you're actually doing what you guys are doing, like when there's a lot of heads involved, there's people at an event, you're running an event, you're making sure the venue has what it needs. You guys want to make sure the sound sounds good. Everything's operating based on like your guys' own willpower and making sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
With, I guess, the resolve of trying to find the solution to problems when things start to stack and overload, has there ever been like, have you guys ever sat down as a team, or like maybe just like a group of you guys, like, and had like doubts within Casa at any moment, like coming from when you guys first started till now? Like, has there ever been like a large speed bump that you guys can like speak of?
No,
Not
I wouldn't
really.
say a speed bump. I would say more so just like we've done a good job, I feel, of communicating about where we're at in life.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're friends first. So that's a big thing that like a lot of us spend a lot of time talking to each other on the phone, just chopping it up. You know, just how you doing? Like what's good? What do you have going on? Like I think everybody understands too that your individual career comes first. Like your life, like your responsibilities, your priorities. Make that your first thing, and then make Casa, you know, whatever your free time can make up of it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that we've had a lot going on in the last few months, and I think that it's gotten really busy really quickly. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that like it's gotten, you know, we're growing, but like in terms of that, it just means we're busier and there's more things to handle. And I think that from my perspective, I can just say that I tend to like want to just make sure everybody's like cool with, you know, what's going on. Like
taken care of.
like just making sure like, all right, we're going to do this. Like, how's everybody feel? We're good. Yeah. But like also right now, I think that a lot of us are kind of dialing back into being more about like our individual plans and focuses, because, you know, as like a year will pass, like during that year, you're going to have some people that like have stuff where they got to move, you know, like moving is a huge part of your life. You're not really going to be able to focus on other things, you know, like you have like,
sure.
I don't know, a family member's born. You gotta like, you just need to focus on the things that matter first. And I think that for us, like we've done a good job of like never holding anything against somebody if they're like, I can't make it tonight, you know,
Yeah,
to help out. Like we probably don't even need the help, you know.
Yeah.
It's not
Just
like
be cool if you're there kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the most like speed bumps, that we could categorize them, just like life, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
just
life
get in the way.
has a whole bunch of things to kind of slow you down that are coming, and then just internally, whatever happens, you know, whatever you're going through, because it affects your mood, and you know, again, I think it affects your reaction to certain things, right? So always coming at things from a proactive standpoint. You know, how can I help the brand? How can I, you know, just be there for someone if, you know, maybe they're taking some time away right now.
Yeah.
Or just like in general, like, you know, things happen. It has nothing to do with Costa. It's just like, I don't know.
Just
you
out
know,
of your
like,
control.
Just life things happen, dude. And, you know, it's important to be there for people that you care about, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would also just add that I don't think that like any of us really like Casa's kind of just like as far as like how we've approached it. I feel like it's kind of a well-oiled machine just in the organic way it's grown up. That things have like we're not really doing anything different than what we've done, something we've done before. So like when it comes to new stuff that we might bring up, like it might be like, oh, we're going to design a new shirt. Well, you know, someone knows how to do that already. Like the whole group doesn't need to be involved in that process. And there's just a lot of things that can kind of like be recycled in terms of just like the system of how we were doing it. And I think that makes it a lot easier for us to just like chill, you know, like for it not to feel like a job, because, you know, we're not like individually getting like, no one's on a salary, no one's on an hourly pay. Like everybody's just chipping in to support each other, because we know that together it's a little bit we're like stronger in numbers, but I think that overall, you know, us as individuals comes first, and everybody has like just a basic understanding, like an unspoken, you know, kind of thing that we all know that, you know, that matters first.
Yeah, it's cool to get, I guess, a philosophical approach behind like how you guys are carrying yourselves, like as friends and creatives, and also DJs, and like also the business side of things. Because I think that's the biggest thing. Like at least what we focus on here at Paradyme is like really getting on like the character aspect, on like who you are as a person, rather than like the skill that you can provide to the world, or the monetary value that you can give to the world. Is like, what character are you also building too? Because that's going to carry you a lot further than like your skill set that you're not going to be able to take with you everywhere, but your mind will be able to take you a lot further. Is there like, I don't know how to categorize this, but would it be like, what would be like your guys' favorite show that you guys have done? Like it could be per like different shows or whatever personally, but like what has been like, say, your favorite show, Blake, that you guys
I'm going to say Tropic Thunder, just because just Hobbs Grove and it being the first one, like, and just, I don't know, there was something about that vibe that when we had it, there wasn't like a ton of people. And I think that even made it more intimate and fun. Like the people that came, just everybody's energy was so positive, and like
such a good show.
Yeah, people had such a great time. And like, I don't know, just like that was the one show where from scratch, like it was all in one day. We set up the stage, we, you know, put the disco ball up, and we really like were proud of like the work we all did. And
the video too.
Yeah.
The shot came out so clutch.
Yeah.
The trailer, so like
the promo
fun
video.
To film. I had fun like just being a part of that too, you know?
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. And just the whole experience of it, especially it being the first one. I don't think just looking back at all of them now, like they're all special. They've all been great. For sure. I think each one has been awesome. Like there's been great memories at all of them. Like I probably can't say, I'd say each one has gotten more fun, but like with the amount of stress that came into the first one, just because we didn't know if we'd even like, you know, have to owe money. Like we were thinking for a second, you know, all of us like, hey, David, how much you got? Like, you know, how much you got to pitch in to make up for this? And we basically broke even at the end of it. And it was just that feeling after the show and just having a great night was, the best. Like it was celebratory, you know, like we just won. We just gambled or bet against ourselves and we won the bet.
Yeah, fulfilling for sure.
So that was a good feeling.
What about you, David? Do you have any favorite shows? Would it be Hobbs Grove or anything specific outside of that?
Man, I think honestly the first Tioga show we did was, I think, my favorite.
Oh, that was great. There was a lot of people at that one.
There was something about the set that me and Dabs played, the opening one with like the sun setting, was, oh dude, it was so cool to see that show, like, or to see the sunset while you're DJing with like a really nice system. Shout out Tioga for setting that up. That was like the first like thing that we did where like I think people saw the name like Casa de Unz. Oh well, Porch Fest was first, but this one was like I think the second show we did.
Yeah, I mean, but it was like kind of the first time like being like, oh, someone's doing a show at Tioga for house music. And like, I would say that because then we started the Instagram like right after that show.
Yeah, like towards the end of the night, it just felt like a giant party that we all put together. And like, I remember just like running up to you and Dom, like while you guys were DJing, just saying what's up, dapping you guys up, and like just chilling, walking around. It was dope.
It is wild to think about how like that was July 28th, 2023. And now today, what is today? April 18th?
18th or 17th.
Yeah, 2024.
Yep.
And just from then to now, like that to us, like going into that, I was so nervous to DJ on that stage, even though like the vibe wasn't like necessarily like a very high, like pressured situation, you know, it was chill. Like it was a very just like come up and play and people would drink beers and stand and talk. Like it wasn't like a super big, like it's not a festival. It's not a huge club. But it was just such a good atmosphere and a good spot. And then from there to now, like just after doing like, I don't know, I want to say I probably played like 10 to 15 times.
Yeah.
Just like the feeling of like going into something now, not feeling so doubting into things. It's just like crazy how like short of amount of time, just like a couple shows can give you so much more confidence in yourself. And I think that a lot of people, especially just any DJ who's played a show, at this point, they know like that, you know, it really helps to just keep doing a couple things here and there just to keep your doubt from taking over and kind of like getting too nervous. But it is good to still be nervous.
I think it's like, it's just so crazy how important it was to have, you know, like good friends that are also DJs, but also like highly skilled DJs that were willing to like lend a hand or show you something or give you the ropes on like certain things. Like I know I probably wouldn't be where I'm at now if like I didn't have someone who was like willing to show me like a new transition or like a this thing about, you know, the industry, or like keeping an eye out for these things when it comes to like marketing materials, and like all of that kind of expedited how quickly I think the brand grew from a year ago. You know? So like,
what is the date of the anniversary?
It was Porch Fest last year, right?
It was April. Well, this year it's April 27th. I want to say last year it's probably April 26th or 28th, something like that.
So we're coming up on it though.
I can't remember exactly, but yeah, 1 year already.
Oh,
and I mean, that was just such a awesome day, and Porch Fest is such a good like community based thing that I don't think a lot of towns have or could pull off. And I think that I'd love to see it just keep growing, because it's nothing like it.
Yeah,
I mean, just to have like, it's just a backyard like party just all over the whole,
right?
You know,
and it's such a vibe. It's such a perfect vibe for the brand, because like it's house music, it's at people's homes, and it's called Casa. You know what I mean? It's just like all these things are aligning, and for I don't know, for good reason, I would say. You know, so shout out Porch Fest. It's all volunteer driven too.
Yeah.
So
it's awesome.
That's kind of like the principles of like Casa in a sense too. Like, who's down to come help and support the show tonight, or who can do door, or like who can set up sound, or who got some extra equipment that we could leverage, you know? Like those things kind of embody kind of like how Casa like became to be, you know, just like helping, volunteering.
Yeah, I mean, I would say a lot of like just what I try to tell people who talk to me about like, oh, like, you know, how do I get a gig or something like that. The main thing to do is like just show up and support people. Like a lot of the opportunities I've gotten was just from showing up to places, supporting, being like, hey, do you want me to take some video for you? You want like, I wasn't doing it to like get something in return or get an opportunity to play. I just think that like, I really learned from my experience of just like making friends with like a lot of the guys in the group and just going out and seeing this local scene, is that like asking things from people just doesn't, you know, why would anybody really like want to give that to you? Like you just ask for it, like you don't have any sort of like why, like it kind of just feels like a gimme, you know, or what is that, whatever it's called. But like a handout. Yeah. But like more so, I think that it's a great thing when people just like show how much they can support you, just like coming out, showing up, saying hello, you know, maybe buy them a drink, maybe not, you know, at least just like showing love and being there. And then like, you know, more consistent you are with just like going up to people and saying hello and just making sure they feel like you acknowledge them, like the more likely they are to like ask you someday, like, hey, like, so what do you do? For sure. You know, like, and if there is anything they can help you with, then it'll happen, you know?
Yeah, naturally.
It just never has to be something that's like forced. And I think that's just something I've learned from living in Fresno and just being in the scene, that like whenever you do something without asking for anything in return is when you actually start to see things that you maybe wanted in the first place.
For sure.
Yeah. I think that's an excellent place to wrap up. But before we close it out, we do rapid fire questions. I do so have some rapid fire questions. They're not going to be so much around Casa. It's going to be more around the character aspect of things, like how we're talking about friendships and kind of don't have your hand down when you're looking to provide someone with a service and there's no expectation. So there's only 3 questions, and we'll wrap it up with this. First question being, is there any specific person you listen to for inspiration in the creative space or gain wisdom from on the dynamics of life? So like it could be wisdom, it could be like you look creatively to this artist and they actually are very wise, like Russ. Like I looked to Russ for like a lot of just business and music and stuff when I was building my thing. It was like he's just so wise and so smart, and you see all these other artists coming up under him. They're just like crazy.
Yeah, so we're just talking just any music artist.
Anybody. It could be an author if you want.
I would say Frank Ocean and Bon Iver.
Why? What kind of stands out from like everybody else?
I would say that both of them have made music that just like has more depth into stuff I relate to. Frank for like how he's handled like that story with like the Blonde album and then the Endless album, how he got out of that bad contract and basically set a big middle finger to the record label and then put it out. Bon Iver just for like, I think more so just like reflection and for like just also just the sound, inspiration through the sounds. He really experiments with like different stuff and has fun and just makes things that to him sound good. Not necessarily does he make it to, I mean, a lot of artists do that, but like to me the great ones are the ones that just made something organically, like from a place of just sitting down and letting the song come out rather than sitting down and being like, well, we got to make a hit.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that his albums continuously change and evolve, and his music's like grown, and that's been like he's been one of my favorite, most influential artists like ever since I was young.
Cool. What about you, David? Any specific people that you do creatively or?
Yeah. Clams Casino for sure. That era, like 2013, 2014, when like A$AP Rocky was popping off, like Lil B, like Mac Miller too. Like something about that style of music that he was producing, like flipping like samples, and making them like so like reverbed, but like there's so much emotion behind the instrumentals that he was making that they just sounded like so perfect to me, and just the instrumentals alone, like without the rappers on them, just I don't know, it had a really big impact on me as far as like music, and I try and like replicate some of the like styles of like producing that he did.
Yeah.
And so Clams Casino for sure catapulted me into like producing. And then what was the other one?
It could be like just dynamics of life, creatively, or just like some wisdom for your life in general.
Wisdom for life. That's a tough one. I mean, all of the books that we read in Paradyme, in our friend group, the people that we know, I get a lot of my I guess like tools for like how to handle life from all the conversations that we have,
Yeah.
So like people like David Goggins, JBP, freaking Nietzsche, all I take in everything. I think it's hard to say like just one person, but yeah.
Sweet. And then we'll move to the next one. What ways do our connections with others contribute to our understanding of self and the world around us? Like, what do you guys believe is the biggest or the most impactful way that the connections that we make actually help us identify ourselves and also build awareness of the world around us? Like, how do connections help you understand yourself and the world around us?
I think for me, connections are like an indicator. Like if you can, like a lot of people I don't think have a good ability, and I'm not saying I do, but like a good ability to read someone. But like I feel like I think of like the scenario of when you're telling somebody about something like, hey, we're all gonna go Friday night, like you should come, and they're like, yeah, I'll be there, yeah, for sure. But like they don't ask for a detail like anymore. This is that obvious like yeah, no, for sure, like I'll be there, but like they're not going. Like that. I feel like when people ask me, that's something like I tend to be like, if I'm not gonna go, I'm not gonna tell you I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Like I'm gonna just be like, I just can't. I just don't want to be there.
So it's building the awareness to, let's say, read people, or do you think it's something else?
I just think that being able to understand when like someone just doesn't want to have let's say they just don't want to hang out, or they just don't have this time at this moment, like letting that go. And like for me, I don't want to feel like a burden on people a lot of that time, but there's no problem with like, you know, pushing or like, you know, just offering and asking, but like not letting like stuff like that take it personally. And I think that like for me, the connections I have with people actually are stronger because like that type of like scenario isn't ever something I take personally or they take personally. Like there's a deeper understanding that like this is not gonna have to be like work to be a friend.
And the only way you were able to establish that is because it had to happen a few times.
You just have to be honest with people. I mean, like I think if you're not honest with yourself.
Yeah, because that's what it's like. It's like if you can recognize it, like you've picked up, like when you can kind of tell, like from you personally.
I do. I used to do it
because it's almost like you almost took a reflection of like the past, or maybe you used to do it, and so now it makes you read people a little bit easier on like the future.
I just think that in terms of like if you want connections with people to go further, and like especially with like I think with work relationships and stuff like that, you gotta have transparency, which will just mean sometimes that it's like, dude, I need a break from you right now. You know, or I need some alone time. Like, like that sounds fun, but like it's time for me to like, you know, I need to rest. Just stuff like that. Like, the more that people like don't really give each other room is when people start pushing you away, and then like things fall through. If you're trying to like do stuff together, especially in like I think like a collaborative environment, like people get exhausted really quickly, and then like all of a sudden, you know, they're gonna want to kind of just like break off, or maybe might get turned off by the entire idea of what you're working on, you know. So I think that for me, like being honest with yourself, you know, not taking things personally, letting people have space, taking care of yourself. I mean, it really just comes back to, you know, how like that stuff, like, you know, it doesn't make me feel like I'm annoying. It doesn't make me feel like I know who I am for the most part. Like I feel like I know, or at least I know that like it's not out of line for me to ask somebody to do something, and if they have a problem with it, they'll tell me, and then, you know, I'll check back in if I feel like I was asking too much. That's stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's like a lot of reflection and being able to analyze yourself to be able to like come back to the world and like see what you're good and like bad at. David, I don't know if you remember the question. In what ways do our connections with others contribute to understanding ourselves and the world around us? What?
Yeah, I mean, Blake kind of said it all. You know, it being honest with yourself and like how you relate to your own like being, I think, is something that will reflect on the other people. You know, I'm not sure if that makes total sense, but I always bring things back to like that, you know, we're all spiritual beings living a physical experience, you know. Like for me, you know, I have like my Christian faith that I work on constantly to try and make it not always about me and what I want. And so I want to connect with other people by like helping them and putting them before like my own selfish desires. So for other people, you know, everybody's spiritual. Everybody has some spiritual component to them. So whatever their tools are for how they relate to other people, that's what's going to indicate what kind of relationship you end up having with people. Is how are you dealing with yourself and like your state of being? And are you able to express that positive energy or that love towards other people and support them, you know, especially your friends. I mean, they're your friends, you know what I mean? So,
don't forget about that.
Yeah, for sure. You know?
Last one being, if you could go back and tell your 16-year-old self any sort of advice, what would you tell him?
I would tell him to get a job.
Start buying property.
Yeah. Invest in Dogecoin.
Yeah, buy Bitcoin.
No, I don't know. Honestly, I don't really have anything I'd say. I think I did it the best I could.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good answer.
Maybe learn piano a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, there's nothing really I feel like I could go back and change that wouldn't like have helped me get where I like, cause I mean, I'm definitely in a place now where I'm happy where I am, and I've been lower. I've been a lot lower, and where I'm at now is good. And I feel confident that, you know, I have like the necessary like tools. Like if I've been through it before, like I can get through it again, you know? And I think that's part of like just growing up. But like, I don't think I could give my 16-year-old self any advice that would help me not, fuck up. Yeah. Or like get to a bad place and have to, like, I mean, honestly, I'm glad I did, because otherwise I'd just be, yeah. Or like if it happened with bigger stakes, you know? So I think there's nothing really I would change besides investing in
starting early
cryptocurrencies. And
Yeah.
but like maybe GameStop too.
For me, man, don't care about what other people think so much. I'll just leave it at that.
I'd agree with that one too.
Yeah, the reason why I asked, I think we asked that quite a few times already in our interviews. I think the reason why I want to add it here is it's interesting to get like a perspective on how people view that question, because you could either lean into being very regretful, or you can be like very like what you said, like, I don't think I would be the same person, or I would be different if I like went back and tried to avoid the same mistakes that I think were going to happen anyways, or they'd be bigger mistakes, because I'm trying to avoid it and trying to tell my younger self like, don't make that, don't do that.
Yeah.
So I think that question's super interesting. But
I think you know, not caring about what other people think, supporting other people, being really being available to sacrifice for others, not just like yourself, is like another piece of advice I would give myself. And you know, earlier when you asked me like who was someone that like is like a major player in like the philosophy or like how you navigate your life, I gotta shout out my dad, because he sacrificed like a lot to put me in a position to where I'm at now, and so did his dad and his dad. So like that's one thing I would say, don't lose sight of sacrifice, and don't care about what other people think so much. Yeah.
Cool. Any dates coming up? Maybe some people from Fresno are going to see this.
We have Porch Fest April 27th.
Yep.
We have Art Hop at Tioga Sequoia May 2nd.
Yep. And
then Stargate with Night Pulse. We're doing a collab show, and LMC and the Delta is supporting. We're going to be doing that at the Temple, which is a new outdoor venue out in just past south of downtown. That's May 11th. And so that's going to be a huge production, biggest one yet. And then after that, we have Open Air Experience, but that's LMC's show. We're just going to be supporting that, helping that out. I'm playing Claptone tomorrow night, but I'm sure that I don't think this is going to be out by the time in time to promote for that. But yeah, there's just a lot. I'm sure there's going to be more. But for now, like, that's all that we've got planned. We're excited for just the future. I think overall though, you know, like as a group, we're going to be focusing more on just like free local events and getting more just production out there, and hopefully like start releasing more music in the near future.
Cool. Where can people follow Casa de Unz and follow you on Instagram?
Casa de Unz at Casa de Unz, UNTZ.
And I'll put it in the video. So
and it's Instagram, TikTok. What else do we have? I don't even think we have Twitter. SoundCloud. We have SoundCloud. You can kind of like hear, like, we don't have anything posted there, but we have like reposted like everybody's like individual music and or mixes and stuff like that.
We'll be working on a website soon to where we can have more information, just like on a landing page.
We'll have merch probably potentially on there.
Yep.
But yeah, for now, I think that's it's just exciting what we got going on. And then at Oh My Gersh, OHMYGRSH. I'm like,
oh my Gersh.
Dude, you see my eyes just stop? They just froze like, that's wrong.
All right, we're out of here, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe. We'll continue coming with the interviews. We'll continue to drop more I guess different content. We're
Yeah.
trying to spice it up a little bit, see what works, see what doesn't work. We'll still get all our book clubs to you guys and stuff.
Also, shout out to People's Studio
Oh, yeah. Shout out
in
to
downtown
Floyd.
Fresno on Fulton Street. This interview wouldn't have been possible without the help of people and this like beautiful studio that we're using. So shout out people.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Blake. Appreciate
Thank
you,
you, guys.
David. We're out of here.
Thank you, David.
Peace.